Hey, internets. We got a video for you to see.
Ooh, is it the video with the two girls?
Whoa there, champ. Not safe for work.
Oh man, those are our favorite videos!
No, we love videos set to melodramatic music and slow motion.
We love videos with boobies!
So is this a video or what?
It's a game!
A game starring yours truly. Come on, let's scratch that Deadpool itch.
Bang, bang, bang! Bang, bang, bang! Oh!
So, that itch satisfied enough for you?
Actually, if you could just reach down and...
Oh, hey! Thanks, dudes. We'll be in touch.
Call me.
Suck it, Wolverine.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are going back to one of the most ridiculous video games ever created, Deadpool. And this was made when there really wasn't any Deadpool hype. It just kind of came out of nowhere. As someone who was first introduced to Deadpool with Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I remember growing up thinking like, oh, this is a really rough and tough, serious, badass superhero, only to learn he's the merc with the mouth and he says some really foul things and he'll snap the fourth wall right over his knee. And this game does exactly that. Nowadays, unfortunately, it is delisted. Originally, there was a licensing deal between Marvel and Activision. That's where you got Amazing Spider-Man games. That's where you got things like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, X-Men Legends. It went on for a long while. Deadpool was one of the last games as part of this license. And since that license is no longer active, you cannot just go out and download Deadpool, unfortunately. So it's sort of lost to time unless you have physical copies of the game either on Xbox 360, PS3, or PS4 and Xbox One. So despite the fact that this game for a lot of people was like a hard 6, a hard 7 style game, it's developed a cult following because of its scarcity, but also its willingness to go into the dirty areas that other superhero games, especially nowadays, don't. You have to remember, Deadpool arrived right in the thick of Arkham rising to the top and everyone trying to be like them, right? So you had Spider-Man games trying to be like Arkham. And then all of a sudden, here comes Deadpool, this beat-em-up game that's all jokes, breaking the fourth wall, kind of janky, and I personally loved it. I could not have been more excited that we were getting a Deadpool game. Others were harsher toward it, but you're not going to get that here. Not because I want to be nice to it, but I genuinely love this game. I'm here to break down why. So welcome back to Retro Rebound. If you're new here and you're into nostalgia and retrospective content, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. And the reason we're doing all this is because we've been building it up to Deadpool and Wolverine. And congrats, viewer, you have survived the Marvel onslaught. We've talked a lot about X-Men and Marvel on both Retro Rebound and Rewind. And like we always do with our Marvel onslaughts, we will now go quiet for a while. You won't see Marvel for a long while. So I hope you enjoyed all the X-Men stuff we did, concluding things here with Deadpool. If you're interested in our movie review, we're going to have that over on Retro Rewind if you want to check that out. All right, enough plugging here. Let's start off not with where you think we go, the humor, the story, all that crazy stuff. I want to get to the gameplay first because you're going to notice something kind of weird with the gameplay you see on screen. It's that occasionally it just lags. It stutters. What's going on here? Well, Derek Beek has the question from our Patreon, patreon.com/retrorevive, link down below if you want to join up, where you can write in for all our episodes. He says, what do you think of the combat feel of the game? Having recently played the game on Xbox One, I found the game to have a rather choppy feel to it, likely due to the lack of motion blur and 30 FPS cap. So when I first bought this game, it was on the Xbox 360. That's where I did my full run of the game and then another run of the game, and I did all the challenges and everything. Like, I love this game. And so I was ready to dive into the effectively remastered version with like 60 frames and of course making sure it's actually going to run properly. But this version is actually worse than what I played on the previous console. So buyer beware on that. I looked it up afterwards and there were people talking on forums. Some were saying just reset your console. Some were saying delete the game and reinstall it. I did all this. I was still getting this sort of performance with the game. I think it's just a bad port at the end of the day. So if you see anything off with the gameplay, that's why, but also it's an authentic representation of what I'm experiencing there. Unfortunately, the remaster doesn't come in at 60 frames. So yeah, it's stuttering a little bit from time to time and you don't get any of the buffs of the next generation consoles at the time. So it's one of those just re-release style ports for a new system to double dip on the audience, but now it's considered the definitive version because all the content's there on disc, including a couple levels, some costumes, that sort of thing. As for the general gameplay beyond what I've just clarified there, this is a really simple beat 'em up game. You start off with the Deadpool swords as you typically would and his 2 pistols, but then you go outwards from there. You get sais, you get giant sledgehammers that you can swing around, and it's simple but effective. I love that this combines with a really neat progression system where everything you do nets you Deadpool points. And these Deadpool points can be spent on all of these different weapons, all the guns and all the melee weapons you get, from things like increased damage to brand new abilities that you can unlock. Like, you can spend a lot of time going through this game and unlocking everything for all these weapons. And certain weapons are definitely better than others. Like the hammers are definitely, I think, the strongest of the bunch. You can just run through enemies, even on the hardest difficulty with them. But as you continue to invest more and more, you'll get certain buffs like getting more Deadpool points, which will allow you to upgrade things quicker. So I remember on my first ever run of this game, I just stuck with the swords for the most part, because then I would farm all of my Deadpool points and then spend them on everything else to get all the upgrades, which I believe there was an achievement/trophy attached to. But even as a big fan of this game, I have to agree that there is a choppy feel to it at the end of the day. Like when you cleave through enemies, it's sort of just 1, 2, 3. Like it's very jagged, not this very smooth, silky combat. This may sound like cope, feel like some of the jank of this game kind of lends itself well to what the story is doing and how low budget it is and how self-aware it definitely is. So I kind of like how it found itself in this really unique pocket, especially because I think time has been kind to it in that you would get these kind of Deadpool games on like the PS2 generation. And I think nowadays, if it was cleaned up a little bit more, people would really celebrate what Deadpool was doing here. So yeah, there's not much to really say on the combat other than it's a simple beat 'em up and you have shooting gameplay that I think runs pretty fine. So what does call people to this game? Well, it's the story and the humor. We actually got a write-in about that over on Patreon, where RK128 asked me, what was your favorite moment? This game is filled with laugh out loud sections. If there's anything that I could tell you right now, it's that this is one of the funniest games you can play. So the general plot premise is this. The game begins, you're in your apartment, and Deadpool wants his own video games. So he calls High Moon Studios, the developers of the game, and begins harassing them. They send him a script in the mail after they find out he put bombs in their studio. And so they start going over what this game's gonna be like. Deadpool throws out the script because he doesn't like it and starts making his own game, which is a result of taking the game literally off the rails, where ridiculous things are constantly happening. Like he'll dive bomb a dude out of the top of a skyscraper all the way through the sewers and onto a bouncy castle, and the first chapter of the game ends there. Like there is obviously a complete sense of ridiculousness in this game, but it's backed up by some of the funniest back and forth banter you'll find in a game between developer and player character. Like they'll even do really cool things where there was a moment in the game, it went complete retro style pixel art graphics, and right away Deadpool was like, oh man, like did we run out of budget for this? We gotta crank this up. And like the next section is full of like explosions and high production value stuff. Like it really starts to ramp up from there, where you can kind of feel that the game was effectively lower budget. I mean, you look at it visually, you look at its scale and its scope, its animation quality, like this didn't get lent a ton of money to it, but they use it to their strength in, I think, sometimes really intelligent ways where you have the art style changing up there. That's when this game is at its best. When it's going through these long stretches of sewer sections, which again, they're self-aware enough to call it out, like you drop in the sewers and right away Deadpool goes, oh, it's one of those games, right? Which we've all said before, which I got a kick out of back then and still do to this day. But sometimes those can go on a little too long before they get to like the next joke, the next highlight reel worthy moment. So that's like the biggest drawback of the game, is sometimes they pad out certain stretches, but when it's introducing funny fourth wall breaking stuff, it's hilarious. One of the best ones is when you meet Cable and he's monologuing to Deadpool about, you know, what we got to do next. Here's why Mr. Sinister is so bad. Deadpool has to, quote, make it stop. And so you can just have him shoot himself to get through the monologue. And that's where Cable's like, damn it, Wade. Like, I just thought, again, that was absolutely hilarious. The bantering with High Moon Studios also always gets me. There's the moment where he thinks that he killed Mr. Sinister and he's telling everyone to roll the credits. We're done here. They actually roll the credits. And then that's where Cable again steps in. He's like, that wasn't Sinister, damn it. Like, the interactions in this game are still hilarious. Like I was laughing my ass off when I was playing this game for this video because it's still so good. It's aged wonderfully well. And the reason is the humor leans into the game itself, not like the culture at the time. Like it's just about the game and the crazy things happening in the game. So you're not going to get like references to music at that time. Like it's all about gamer culture. So it's, again, the humor is just really good. And I mean, part of like the main plot is even hilarious. They're trying to stop Mr. Sinister, but Deadpool has no idea. Why? Because he threw out the script at the beginning of the game and he's rewriting the story. So he doesn't really know why we're stopping them or how we're going to stop him. It's hilarious. There's also moments like slapping the hell out of Wolverine. Like he's knocked down on the ground and you just have to keep slapping him and you get like achievements for that in this game. And there's also the very beginning where you're walking around the apartment as Deadpool and messing with his stuff. There's one point where this game, just for starting it up, gives you an achievement and then they pop another achievement afterwards and they completely acknowledge it. And then you'll start like flipping pancakes. You'll get another achievement. You'll finish messing with his other stuff. You'll get a fourth achievement. Like you get 4 achievements in this game just like that. It's hilarious. Again, I love how they play on gamer culture a bit. Like commenting on, what, I haven't even done anything and I got a trophy. Like that's something people talk about all the times, where you play a kind of mid-game and you get the trophies right away, the achievements right away, because like they're hoping that hooks you in beyond the actual game experience itself. This game knows it's kind of subpar in certain areas, but I think leans into it brilliantly and in turn is a way better game for it. Like it would have been way worse to me if they continue to try to pump up moments like, hey gamer, what did you think of that? Because Deadpool's doing that to you constantly. He's always talking to the player, but in this game, it's not trying to hype itself up. It's always trying to honestly drag itself down. And it works really well for me because it makes those more mid sections bearable and better. So yeah, I still get a kick out of this game's story. What I also like is that we have not one, but 2 complete box experiences to go through, and not just the PS3, but the PS4 version. So let's take a look at those, shall we? As promised, we have 2 copies of Deadpool right here, PS3, PS4. Let's go in order, starting with PS3. As you'll see, they share the exact same front cover of "This is what awesome looks like," being quoted by Deadpool himself. You see all the various X-Men characters from Wolverine to Psylocke to Cable here on the front cover as well. On the back, we see here that there are various speech bubbles, as my dog barks right next to me. Can you get down? As you see on the back here, it says, "Take in the gorgeous view. Shh, be very quiet. Can I cut in? Bang, bang." Look, love all the little personality here. And then also on the back, it says, "Here's why you need my game. Insane action combo skills, capture all my good sides, and also loads of X-Men cameos, hotties included, and katanas and guns, and bear traps." Oh my. So yeah, we got a lot going on here. On the inside, you do have a little bit of a manual. "Your guide to me," says Deadpool. And it says, "Go ahead, touch my buttons. I dare you." And it's got all the controls laid out. Nothing else really exciting, but at least you got a little bit of personality here on the front. So that is a complete box copy on PS3. Now, what comes with the PS4 copy, you may ask, Maddie? Well, the disc is the exact same. It's in my PlayStation, so you're not going to see that now. But you'll also notice no manual. I mean, look at the difference, right? This is how much they're cutting costs. It was too much to do this again. That's how much it was to them. It's too much to do this one more time for Activision, the Call of Duty company, right? Unbelievable. Only difference here with the PS4 copy is here on the back, it adds one more bullet point, and it's going to say, "Includes all the DLC, 2 suite levels, 2 alternate suits." Otherwise, it is the exact same copy that you have right here on PS3. So the way it functions is this is considered the definitive version for all the content being on disc, even if it still lags a little bit more. And sometimes you're better off picking up this version here, not only because it's more cost effective, but it kind of runs better. To wrap things up, we have one final write-in here. It comes from Kyle Corey, who asks, "Do you think they'll bring this game back to digital storefronts?" The answer is kind of, maybe, sort of, possibly. Look, we've heard rumors a ton about, with Activision being purchased by Xbox, there is this desire to reactivate the backwards compatible library one more time, get some of these games into Game Pass. And I think if you are Xbox and you're looking at Marvel, there could be a potential reigniting of the licensing deal to maybe throw these games back into Game Pass. Like I would personally, if I'm Xbox, be motivated to put games like Spider-Man, Ultimate Alliance, Deadpool, etc., into my subscription service. So I think that there is a world where this is possible, where they have these communications with Marvel, who has really opened up in the gaming space, has started to hand out the license to different developers to make these different games. You get Guardians of the Galaxy, you get Spider-Man with all these different specialties. And I think reactivating backwards compatibility with Xbox, whether it be full-on re-releases, or in some cases, Activision already did the hard work, like Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 did get a re-release. We do have Deadpool with a re-release. Like some of these do have modern SKUs. They just need the licensing deals done, which I know is a legal complexity I'm not aware of at all. But I do think that these games coming back is very well a thing that all parties would be interested in doing. Same thing with Activision having their hands on the Transformers games. Like there are some really good ones in Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron. Like those are great video games. So I feel like there is a desire to get these old Activision games back onto the modern market in some way, shape, or form. If it comes down to like, okay, they're gonna resell them, I don't know if that'll ever be the case. I just hope one day that they do bring back all these old Marvel games, because as you can see with what we've covered this month, we went all the way back to X2 Wolverine's Revenge, right? This is like a 2002, 2003 video game, and you'll find in the complete box section of that game, the Activision stamp is on that one too. So yeah, their mitts have been all over all these different Marvel games we talked about on this channel. All the Spider-Man games we talked about, from Ultimate Spider-Man to Shattered Dimensions to even Edge of Time. Activision's been involved in all of them, even, yes, the Raimi Spider-Man games. So I feel like it would be really sick to see this license get activated once more for Activision, just to re-release some of these. Like imagine a Raimi Spider-Man trilogy remaster re-release. That'd be incredible. Imagine just getting these games back on the market. So if you want to play them after watching this video, you could. I feel like for ones that at least have modern accessibility like Deadpool and Marvel Ultimate Alliance, it blows my mind that they're still not accessible to this day. So hopefully one day they are, but that is my answer to the question on whether or not this game will make a comeback. I also hope, because of how popular Deadpool is nowadays and how popular Marvel is nowadays, that maybe they revisit Deadpool as a video game character and go in with a higher budget, because this game I think is very charming for leaning into its lower budget, but clearly the ceiling is higher and I would love to see them do something special with that. So that's where I stand on Deadpool, ladies and gentlemen. A really strange video game that continuously breaks the fourth wall, has some alright combat, and in turn, I think it's a very unique video game. What do you think of Deadpool? Let me know down below. As always, I will catch you all in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.